Welcome to News9 Mediaverse, and you are watching On Point with me. In today's special edition, we are going to talk about Army Chief General Manoj Pande, who is in Poonch to evaluate the operation taking place against terrorists in the sector. On Tuesday, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will review the security situation. Reports are that major changes are going to be made. But before I go to my subject matter expert, Sumit Chaudhary also joins me, Defence Editor, TV9 Bharatvarsh in studio with me. Let me take you through some of the important or key developments post-encounter in which 4 men in olives were killed. So the first is that Army has ordered probe into the death of 3 civilians. It's a court of inquiry. Jammu Kashmir Police has also registered an FIR against unknown people as to what has happened. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will visit Poonch on Tuesday. But there is a bigger issue around this, and the bigger issue is this an attempt by Pakistan to create trouble before elections are held in J&K? Because right now India is in a unique situation, Sumit. It's handling 3 hot borders.
Yes.
You had LAC, you had LOC, and then you had international border in Northeast. Today Manipur is hot.
Yes.
3 Brother Alliance with the pro-democracy activists. They're fighting a war with the military in Myanmar. LAC has become hot, and after years, this part of the LOC has become hot, which is the Poonch, Akhnoor, Rajouri, Jammu sector. My question to you is, what major decisions do you expect once the visit of the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is over on Tuesday? What major changes are going to take place? What are they looking at? What are your sources telling you?
See, Karthikeya, one thing is very clear. There are lapses from the security point. That there is no doubt in that, because we have seen that information of the major terrorist organizations, especially the PFF, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, many multiple terrorist organization launch pads have been active from last 1 year. So the security forces have full information about this. But the most challenging part in this area, in Jammu area especially, is they are densely forested areas. It's very complicated when the ground soldiers go to all these areas. It's very challenging to see actually 10 meters or 5 meters beyond your eyesight. So it's very challenging for them. But it is also true that overground workers have been increased in these areas, and that is the biggest challenge that the forces are not able to handle, and they are not able to go all these areas, and they cordon man on ground.
Okay. Sumit, I am also joined by Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Thank you so much for joining me on my show On Point. So I'll come to the point. What changes should happen, sir?
Karthikeya, first and foremost, it's very important to understand where are we and what are we doing and what are the steps that we need to take to ensure there is normalcy. And for centuries on, there has been a communal harmony in the districts of Rajouri, Poonch, Budil, in that particular area. First and foremost, we have about 220 odd kilometers of LOC which runs along in proximity to these 3 districts, and we have the Kotli, and we have Rawalkot, we have Bagh, areas of the Pakistan occupied Kashmir on the other end. The area is approximately about 4,500, 600 square kilometers. It's thickly forested. It has lots of caves and hideouts, and temperatures go down. Terrain is extremely difficult. The villages comprise of both the Hindus and the Muslims. The population ratio is 60% Muslims, 40% Hindus, with sprinklings of Buddhists and Sikhs. It is an area south of Pir Panjal, which divides the Kashmir Valley from Jammu region, and has what is popularly called the Mughal Road. The Mughal Road connects the road from coming straight from Jammu, Rajouri, goes to Baflipa, then goes to Srinagar, and via Shopian. And this is approximately about 330 odd kilometer of road. You have another NH44 which takes you from Jammu, and the normal from Banihal that takes you to the Srinagar Valley. So there are 2 axes. This Mughal Road is the one which Akbar was very frequently fond of, and on the road on which Jahangir had died. So, but for people to understand as to what is it like, there were 560 villages spread all over, population approximately about 12 lakhs. Now, this being having said, 2008, after a long time, after that operation that had taken place in 2003, in which almost 65 odd militants were killed out of about 100 that were there in the operation in Hilkaka for Operation Sat Vinash. In that, now, subsequently in 2008, it faced its first communal riots, which was something unusual for this area. It has mostly Gujars and Bakarwals and Pahadis. So the language is also different. The way they wear their clothes is also different. The way they live and eat are different. And so approximately about 92%
General, I'm getting your point. You know, I'm getting the drift. I'm getting the drift. But I would like to know from you, what changes are we expecting at the level of the army? Because if you look at the reportage which has happened in the newspaper, the word which has been reported changes at the level of the command. Can you take our viewers, you know, when you use that word in reportage, what do you mean by that?
No. See, the change of command that what people are talking about, let's not get confused. Firstly, the corps commander, it's in a normal change that the corps commander would be, he in any case was moving out, a new corps commander was being placed. Even the brigade commanders over there, it has a sector headquarter which takes care of it. So it has, various aims. See, what is the purpose of being there? Yes, there is a serious issue. Yes, it's something which we really need to be concerned about. Such situations must not crop up where we are caught an ambush. Ambush actually means a concealed attack, an attack on something which is moving and temporarily halted, on an unsuspecting moving enemy. So we have to be very careful. We can't get ambushed like this off and on. We have had one in September, again in October, again in November. That's something which is definitely a cause of concern. Human intelligence is something that we really need to do. Why I give you the background of the communal riots of 2008 and subsequent, there was the first warning. Is it a silent push for the Hindus to leave that area as to what happened in the valley and subsequent things? What is it that the Pakistanis are wanting to do over there? Because as rightly brought out, the Jaish-e-Mohammed,
General Kulkarni,
the Lashkar-e-Taiba, you have the past, all these fronts which are actively operating over there.
But General Kulkarni, I have a question for you. Is there any possibility that SOS has not followed by the army people, especially the 13 RR? Because these kind of lapses they are very rare when we talk about the RR. So do you think that there is a lapse from the SOS side, from the RR side?
See, it's 48 RR. 48 RR, which generally comprises the troops from the Garhwal regiment, the Armored Corps, and things of those kind. Yes, the SOPs may have been violated because invariably you don't see two vehicles. That is the first thing. You would always find a vehicle which is heavily guarded and protected before it is taken out. And then one doesn't really understand, was there any kind of a fire back, retaliation by the security forces opposing these people? How was it that in a corner, which is extremely very, very difficult to turn over, that they got ambushed? Obviously, at the point at 3:45. Now remember, that is the day when it is the shortest day. That means it would get dark by around 5:30. If it is to start getting dark between 5:30 and 5:45, it has occurred at about 4:45. So if this incident has occurred, by the time you actually get into the grip, it's already dark. So all those people would have already escaped into wherever it is. So it was very properly timed. They knew exactly the time. They knew the location. They were keeping that entire area under observation. Yes, there would have been lapses. There is no denying the fact. Unless there are lapses which have occurred, which will be investigated and will be found out, and those lapses will also be taken care of. It is not like that. And how is it that those people are not properly protected? Why is it that they did not retaliate and kill at least two of them on the spot? There's certain, kind of reports that come that they
General,
came so close that
I don't know. There's a book. I must get that book into the conversation. Germs, Guns, and Steel. It's a story of how certain things completely redefine a theatre. Like, for example, in the medieval India, the gunpowder redefined the theatre completely. Or the way Marathas completely redefined the warfare in context of shoot and scoot operations. For example, Stinger in Afghanistan theatre, or the drone in the Armenian theatre, or for example, Kalashnikovs in the 70s and 60s. Do you think that this steel bullet that was deployed is redefining a lot of things, because it's making our men vulnerable? Steel bullets were deployed.
I know. We've been dealing with this aspect of the steel bullet, the penetration of it, whether the AK-47 can actually penetrate, and the kind of bullet that they could be having is 7.62 mm, which would have a steel core, which would even not only penetrate through and through men, but would also be able to penetrate the vehicles. So it has its own permutation. We ensure that the 5.56 that we are all operating with, are within the human right. There are no violations taking place. Even we ensure that these kind of things are not done. We have definitely what you are saying about these are all small things which really whether it is a steel bullet. Once a bullet strikes you, whether the bullet goes through and through you or it gets embedded into you and turns and makes sure that your kidneys and all the interior bodies are totally mutilated. That's a different thing. That really wouldn't make much of a difference. What matters is where was the int failure? How is it that we did not know that these kind of things are operating here? Where were the VDC committees? Are we in touch with the VDC committees? How much of inputs are coming?
General
Were the
Kulkarni.
troops not, they were not complicit at that point of time. Those are the things that we really need to know. Because what happens, Kartikeya, at any point of time, we must remember Pakistan is our enemy. Pakistan will do what it is doing because whatever.
I think you have, General Kulkarni, you have rightly
China
pointed out because
enemy.
I still remember
Yeah.
a month back because I am with the Chief of Army Staff at the same location, Rajouri, and that time also he pointed out very clearly there are clear intelligence report which indicating that more than 200 to 300 terrorist camps have been activated. 300 of terrorists have been activated in all these locations. So, I think you have rightly pointed there is a major intelligence failure, and especially when we talk about the PFF. They are still growing. They have large amount of arms and ammunition. They are receiving new technological weapons. So, this is something a new challenge for our security purposes.
100%. What happens is, just imagine the number of arms and modern arms left in Afghanistan by the Americans. All of those arms have been taken over by who? By the Pakistanis. Pakistanis are going to do what? Push into this military. What would they be doing? All these launch pads that are there, which are referring to about 100, 150 militants are there, and any point of time they're wanting to cross, are obviously waiting. So, yes, the American arms have moved in. There is no denying. The Chinese arms are found with these people who are operating from across the border. There is no denying the fact. The means of getting information has improved. There are drones that are, giving them weapons, giving them ammunition, giving them logistic support. There are people who can be bought. Because as I said, referred again, 2008, the communal riots took place over there, which had not taken place earlier. So there are much that we always been thinking, these Bakarwas, Gujjars, and all these people have been always siding with the government of India. There is no denying the fact. But there are people among them also who seem to be now, on money can buy anybody and everybody. So that is where we need to have our eyes and ears on the ground. We need to have winning the hearts and minds of the people. The approach has to be downwards, up. From up, what the Pakistanis are going to be doing, they will keep doing. We will ensure that the VDCs, the village defense committees have to be activated and ensure all of these steps would have been taken. There is no denying the fact that the army doesn't work on that. But yes, SOPs have got violated. Why should there be 2 vehicles? Why should there be only one gypsy? Why should there be only one 2.5 tonner which is moving over there? When you know that these incidents are occurring over there and time and again the roads are bad, then you ought to be very careful.
I think, General, you have very well put. The first part I need to conclude this segment. You need to have people by your side. Army can play a role, but ultimately, when we have to resolve this issue, you need to have that larger political picture in mind. Because army can implement a thing, but it works towards a political solution because it's part of a democratic setup. So what General Kulkarni said is very, very important in context of those 3 civilians who have been killed and there is a court of inquiry and FIR, that you need to operate with the people around you. And the only way you can do it by interacting with them. Like, for example, you had Sadbhavna operation.
You have to engage.
You have to engage with them. And the VDCs, Village Defence Committees, were one way of engagement. It's time for a short break. Don't go away. We'll be back with more and we'll try to find out why people who have retired from the forces are again being targeted in J&K theatre.
The scale of the attack was something that we were surprised at. David Hadley was a double agent. The Americans did not want him to be fully exposed, so all that he probably shared with the Americans was not shared with us in terms of intelligence. If we had that, I'm sure that we would have been able to deal with the situation far better.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
So the entire theatre is getting live, and there are reasons. The reasons are that the Article 370 is a reality. Even the courts have given a green signal. Second, elections are not far away. Third, there is prosperity in the valley. Yes, there are issues involved. No one is saying that those issues have been completely resolved. But then there is a normal movement of people, which is very important. There is a normal movement of goods, which is important for economy. But even then, people who have resigned from the forces are being targeted. Now, these are not the people who have gone back on vacation, let me tell you. So, the incident which happened in Baramulla is about a person who retired in 2012, way back, and he was in a civilian life. And on this issue, I am joined by Major General Ashwini Srivastava. Sir, this is not a new thing in the valley that the people who were part of the forces are being attacked. But why is this increasing over a period of time? This is becoming a regular feature. Whenever the terrorists get an opportunity, they gun for them. Is there a message there that if you cooperate, work towards? Yes?
Yeah, Kartik, very rightly brought out by you. See, now let's analyze what is the situation in Kashmir Valley. Now, this is happening more in Kashmir Valley, which is called hybrid warfare, and it's a target killing. Now, they are picking up a soft target. A person who is retired, who is a civilian, once he is made as a target, then it becomes a news. Now, as far as Kashmir Valley is concerned, the point is that the situation is very normal. The area has become very peaceful. There is a record time tourism there. There is on ground level, you have a district development council election, panchayat election, grassroots level democracy there. There is a peace and development which is taking place. The railways have now become operationalized from Jammu to Udhampur to Baramulla, then will be spread to Kupwara also. There are IM college, engineering college, medical college which has come. The whole scenario has changed, and all this stone throwing used to be in South Kashmir is a matter of past, because NIA had choked the complete money which used to come from ISI to Hurriyat. Then radicalization in South Kashmir to some extent has come down. So considering all this, the situation seemingly looks to be desperate as far as Pakistan is concerned. There are only 48 known terrorists which are left in Kashmir Valley, which 3 years back used to be not less than 250 at any point of time. Leadership of Jaise Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen and Lashkar-e-Toba has been wiped off. Today they are feeling desperate. They want to send more cadre. They want to now send more weapons, ammunition through drones, which they are not able to do it. Now the winters have come, passes have closed. Now this incident which has taken place where a retired SP has been targeted, 2-3 things stand out today. Which was the weapon which was used? The first time they used a 12-bore gun. Otherwise, they were using at least pistol, especially in hybrid warfare, which is a target killing. Because the
can you just tell us the difference for a common viewer, difference between a pistol and a 12-bore?
See, 12-bore gun, what is happening is available and given to the civilian there to protect against the wildlife. This is given by the government itself. And 12-bore gun is an area target, and it is not so fatal, because what happens, it leaves pellets and it spreads. And as far as 12-bore guns are concerned, it is very common in northern part of the country also, in fact the whole India. It is a normal weapon which can be taken on license. So it's not a very fatal weapon. So this weapon, only thing is that the terrorists will not like to use it, because it is very difficult to conceal. As on today, they will like to use a pistol which can be hidden anywhere.
General Srivastava,
and they were using
General
that.
Srivastava, my colleague Sumit has a question for you.
General Srivastava, we have seen a different kind of pattern, especially when we talk about the targeting of the civilians, especially when we compare Jammu and Kashmir. We have seen in Jammu, they are bluntly attack the civilians, but when we talk about the Kashmir, especially the Srinagar, they are pinpointed targeting the civilians. They have identified person, they attack them, they kill them, and they move on. We have not seen the terrorist organization attacking any civilian in masjid. So, do you think they are losing their ground, they are desperate, and not only them, but also their mastermind or the agencies behind them are desperate because they wanted to create a ruckus in Kashmir?
Absolutely, Sumit, well said. You hit the nail on the head. As far as Kashmir Valley is concerned, the things seem to be totally under control of security forces. And this is not to the liking of Pakistan Army and to the ISI, and the terrorists are losing ground. This first time that they have now targeted someone inside the mosque, which they never did it. And second thing is, first time 12 bore gun has been used. Otherwise, they could have used a pistol. It means there is a pistol is also not a big issue because the weapon ammunition is not coming. So overall, I can call it. It is a case of a desperation that they are feeling a heat of it. They just want to remain in picture. They want to show that the militancy is still there, and they have picked up a soft target officer who is retired almost 10 years back. They are targeting him. He's a civilian. If they kill a normal civilian, it will not become a news. If they kill a police officer who was a retired police officer, it will become a news. So overall, I can only say, obviously, today they are losing ground. It's a case of frustration. But certainly, we have to be more careful. We have to understand those people who can be vulnerable. They must be given an adequate protection. That is the lesson which we have to learn.
Let me ask you a macro question. You know, we had the discussion 2 days ago on what has happened in the Poonch sector. You know, the sort of developments that have taken place, do you feel that it will lead to reorganization or redeployment of our forces in the Kashmir front? Do you foresee that? Because my colleague was telling me before we started this program, the movement of the Romeo forces from the Poonch sector to the LAC. So, I know these are basic army detailing, but do you feel that that sort of a reorganization is going to take place of forces?
100%. 100% it takes. See, the point is what has happened is that after 2003, that especially Rajouri, Poonch area has become almost normal, and it was a militancy free area. It is only in 2021 that the militancy has again come. Now, once the Chinese have come in Eastern Ladakh in 2020, there was a need of sending the troops at the earliest because they came almost with 3 divisions. Remember, India within 1 month had a mirror image deployment by sending more than 50,000 troops. So from where the troops have come? The one which were already, fighting an insurgency, they were better trained, motivated, and they can be sent at the earliest. So since this area has become totally militant free, so it was an obvious choice. Almost, division plus was taken out from here. I can only say extreme approximately it was sent from here to the eastern to Eastern Ladakh in northern border, and therefore the vacuum was created. And in 2021, when the militancy again came, because Pakistan selected this area because it is a forested area, it is close to the LOC, it is basically a mountainous area. There are natural caves which give a hideout to terrorists. So they found it that in Kashmir Valley they were losing ground. If they activate this area, they have 2-3 more advantages. One is that they will able to operate here rather than operating in built up area in the villages. They will attract the security forces in the higher reaches where they have advantage. Second thing is that they were no more depending on the villager for logistic sustenance. They made a hideout and they have well stocked it. Third thing is they were thinking that if they can't infiltrate in Kashmir Valley from Shamshabadi and northern part of Valley, then they should infiltrate through Rajouri Poonch, cross over Pir Panjal and go to South Kashmir. So this was another strategy. So having said so, now there is a requirement of now visiting this place, and now requirement of sending additional troops. No doubt about it. As on today, there is a requirement of beefing up. I'm sure Indian Army doing it. They are already taking everything in this. Unfortunate incident which has taken place where 3 civilians have also lost their lives. A very high inquiry has been conducted. Indian Army has a zero tolerance for such type of activity.
Absolutely.
We will not allow. And we have learned lot of lessons. I was hearing General Kulkarni. Obviously, I have commanded a brigade in line of control in Machal sector. I have operated in Rajouri for 7 years. So I know that we have made some mistake, especially on why the movement was done when there were no road opening done, why there were only 2 vehicles, why the Caspier, which is basically a bulletproof vehicle, why that was not used. So these questions will be asked within ourselves.
I think, sir, that's very well put, because, Sumit, there's a larger picture. If there's a macro picture in context of Kashmir, there's a larger picture in context of India. It's not only about LAC and LOC. There's an international border which is completely destabilized, and there were talks about movement of Assam rifle to another sector. Now the issue is why? Because those borders are unmanned. Those borders are not manned the way we man LOC or LAC. Those are different areas: Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur. And with the sort of migration that is taking place in both the states of Manipur and Mizoram, I think it brings us to the larger issue that how are we going to deal with 3 areas which have become really, really hot. But it's time for a short break. Do not go away, because I will be joined by former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, SP Vaid, on an issue which concerns all of us. And that is, what before the J&K elections?
Pakistani spy agency ISI's sinister plan to target India. Training women to honey trap top civil and military officials. Counter honey trapping ops initiated by India. But gullible victims still caught in the web. Top military intelligence experts break down the web of deception. Colonel Hani Bakshi explains the phenomena of honey trap.
जहाँ पे भी आपको लगेगा, उनको लगेगा कि there is a person who is susceptible to women, who is making a lot of women friends on the social media. That is where they will make a spoof account and then start luring the person.
Colonel Pavitran Rajan decodes the psyche of the victim and the predator.
But when you go up the chain, no one enforces it to people at the top. That disciplinary regime and the security regime is not enforced at the top. And they usually have a public profile where it is much more easier to approach that person.
A News9 special on how modern technology has added teeth to the ancient spying tactic.
Our story takes you inside Pakistan's honey trap machine.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined, and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining, and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
So what is the larger issue? is the larger issue to destabilize the valley right before the elections in Jammu and Kashmir, which will take place eventually in next 6 or 7 months. On this issue, I am joined by former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, SP Vaid. Thank you very much, sir, for joining me on my show On Point. I'll ask you, what is the big picture, sir? What do you make of the events that have taken place in the last 4 days?
See, an operation was launched by army and police and security forces together. And in this operation, when these troops, 2 vehicles were going, I think terrorists had pre-decided where they will get these vehicles at a right spot, and they ambushed it. And that is how they were able to inflict casualties on the army. And later on, you must have seen how they have used M4 weapon, which is American Army's American M4 carbine, and armored piercing bullets have been used. So even if the vehicle is bulletproof, it will pierce through that. And that is how they were able to cause maximum damage. And the bodies of some of the martyrs were mutilated beyond recognition, and very unfortunate. That it is a thick jungle, this area, DKGs, Baflias, this sector is thick foliage, very thick forest, basically foothills of Pir Panchal range, and the other side is Kashmir, South Kashmir, Kashmir Valley, and there's a lot of these terrorists have a lot of, you are seeing on the photo, a lot of places to hide because of thick foliage. It's very difficult to operate. The visibility is zero. You have a lot of caves in this area, huge boulders and heights. So they are taking advantage of it. So that is how they are able to cause damage. But I am very confident of the Indian Army and J&K police. If you recall, in the 90s and early 2000s, this area was very badly affected. And this very same Indian Army and J&K police cleared it of terrorists. And last 15 years, it was almost free of terrorism. But last one and a half year, I think with a proper planning, the Pakistan Army is resorting to
so Vaid Saab,
what do you call jungle warfare
Sumit has a question for you, sir.
So Vaid Saab, do you think they have changed their strategy? Especially we have seen from the beginning of winters till the end of the winters, usually we have not seen such kind of attack, especially when we talk about Jammu Kashmir. But we have seen they have shifted their focus more on Jammu rather than the Kashmir, especially the Srinagar.
Yes, Sumit, you see, what is actually happening is, if you recall, earlier they were focused in Kashmir Valley, and Kashmir Valley, when we launched Operation All Out in 2017, they lost their cadres in thousands, and at one point of time, they didn't have even men to launch an operation against security forces. There was a huge shortage of weapons. Then, if you recall, in 2021, they changed the tactics and started, what you call hybrid terrorism. 2 men will go with a small weapon, pistol, and hit maybe a policeman on off duty, or Kashmiri Pandit, or a teacher, or a radiwala, or an outsider, or a panchayati member, and run away and merge in the public. And J&K police took about 6 months, 1 year to get all these people, and ultimately peace returned. So Kashmir Valley, there was a huge improvement of situation, and things were.
But sir, there is one thing which I would like to bring to your notice. I was speaking with General Sivaj. He said the killing which took place in this killing, 12 bore was used. So
you are talking of the SSP
yes. Yeah. So can you shed some light? What would have police made of it? That why this weapon was deployed? because Kashmir insurgency is about AK-47 and the sort of other weapons which have come from Afghanistan theatre. Now they are using a weapon which can be purchased from the market.
See, the terrorist would to make a news and to change this narrative of return of peace after abrogation of Article 370, they would resort to anything, including use of locally purchased weapon also. Because the fact is not that what weapon has been used. The news is the SSP, retired SSP rank officer has been eliminated. So a general scare spreads in the valley that if police is not safe, then what about common civilians? Now, this Operation Rajouri Poonch is also part of an effort to change that narrative, that things have not normalized after abrogation of Article 370. And this is being done by a very conceived, very well thought out strategy by Pakistan establishment. Their army generals are relaxing and enjoying from watching the scene from Rawalpindi. But what they have done is they have entered into an agreement of ceasefire, which was actually their requirement, because they need more troops in the western sector than eastern sector, because they are getting butchered by the TTP and Balochistan Liberation Army. They are in terrible shape in Balochistan as a Pakhtunkhwa. So while there is a ceasefire, they have pushed these criminals who have been trained, hardened, battle-hardened, trained, have been given sophisticated weapons, and 28 of them, as per one report, have been eliminated in Rajouri Poonch. But they have caused huge damage to our security forces. Army has lost around 30 people. It's a huge loss. So I think we
sir,
need
if you look at this data, sir, if you look at the data, sir, 2023, 50% of the terror attacks, they are confined to Poonch, Rajouri areas. These are statistics. And the casualties are on far higher side if we account for the entire Poonch, Rajouri, Akhnur sector. So as if the entire theatre has shifted. Sumit, you wanted to ask a question?
I just want to ask you one thing, because we have seen that there is we are talking about the new strategies, the review for the armed forces, but we have seen the police play a major role in the intelligence. Especially the police provide the major intelligence because they have good connectivity on ground. So do you think the police also need to review their intelligence? They need to review the security, because the lapses on the both sides. We are talking about army, but there are lapses on the police side also.
So absolutely, Sumit and Karthikeyan, I completely agree with you. See, such casualties happen, as per my experience, only if you do not have pinpointed intelligence. This and it's not happening for the first time, the first, second, third, and I think fourth, fifth time. Such a huge casualty. That means your intelligence network is still weak. You do not, you are not getting pinpointed intelligence about the location, and these terrorists are not using normal mobile. The technical intelligence could come giving exact location of the tower and where they are using. They are using internet-based communication, and that's why internet was shut. So they are also becoming smarter, and I think we need to improve our intelligence network. I think J&K police has to play a major role, because 90% of the operations, it is J&K police which provides the intelligence, and that must be true of Rajouri Poonch. But I'm afraid that Rajouri Poonch intelligence is very, 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 very sketchy and very little.
But Mr. Ved, I want to ask you a question. I have covered Afghanistan theatre as a journalist on 3 occasions. Whether it's Mazar-e Sharif, Kabul or Ghazni, I've been there, even Jalalabad. So how do you keep up the morale of the security forces up? This is like a typical Taliban tactic, you go after the officers, you find them, you kill them, or you go after a former officer, you go to the village and you kill it. The same thing is happening with the police force in Jammu in Kashmir. So how do you get through the rigmarole of the day that, if you are off on a vacation, you can be targeted, there'll be no lines.
Absolutely. See, morale is very, very important in any force, whether it is J&K police or Indian Army. Morale plays a major role. The same very army or same very force, J&K police, could be devastating to the terrorist. But then, if morale is down, the very same police will fall apart. So that is why leadership comes here, and that's where motivational. You have to lead from the front. You have to go by example, and let me assure you, J&K policemen are very, very brave. They have suffered it for the last 3 decades. I think more than 33 years, and we have lost more than 1700 our officers and jawans, but still J&K police, army comes after 2 years, 3 years, moves out. CRP comes, works for 2 years, 3 years and moves out. But that is not true of J&K police. They have to live there. Their families are
Correct.
there. Their children's food. So maintaining morale of J&K police is very, very difficult, and is a big challenging task to the leadership of J&K police. And I think that's what they have to play a very crucial role. Now, coming to your rajouri, Poonch. Now, this jungle warfare tactics which they are adopting and leading to a lot of casualties of Indian Army, I think we need to review our tactics also. Today, General Pande has gone. I'm sure he must be discussing with his army commanders. They must see that they review their tactics and do not suffer more casualties. Let technology be used, but my take is we must make the best use of local boys of Rajouri Poonch. They have a great role in fighting terrorism. I have last 30 years, and a lot of my colleagues have used the boys of Rajouri Poonch. They are very daring, very hardworking, and many of them are very, very nationalist. And I think we must make use. They graze their cattle there. They graze their sheep in these jungles. They know terrain very well. They know where caves are. So I think make maximum use of local boys. They will dig them out from the caves and kill them. I'm telling you, recruit for 500 of them. Just splatter them all across with the army and the police. That will change this situation, because Pakistan army has played a tactics. They have changed this strategy after suffering casualties on Operation All Out and then hybrid terrorism. Now they are going for jungle war. What you saw in Anantnag, Kukarnag, and now Rajouri Poonch, it is very similar example of jungle warfare type tactics, and I think we need to change our strategy accordingly.
I think it's very well said. All three of our guests actually emphasized one point, and that point was you need to have people by your side. All three guests, one spoke about VDC. Mr. Vaid spoke about the boys. Sumit, ultimately, when we talk about CT operations, they succeed if there is a popular support, isn't it?
See, there are huge challenges, different challenges when you talk about the jungle warfare, when you talk about the urban warfare, because in the urban warfare you have a support, you have a good support of the masses, and especially when the forces need to conduct all these operations, they also know that the OGW, the overground workers, will definitely try and take a shield of the local population. So they have to be very conscious. They have to follow the SOS. So sometime these kind of challenges are the bigger challenges than to conduct an operation. So this is I think major challenges when you talk about the Kashmir, where the urban warfare is there, and when you talk about the jungle warfare, especially when you talk about the Jammu. So both the things are different, Karthik, and that is the biggest challenge for Indian Army.
That's the biggest challenge, but you need people to help.
Yeah, definitely.
You need people to help you in both the theatres. Even Kargil was discovered by a civilian.
Yeah, true.
Correct?
True.
So I think that's the bottom line. I think the biggest takeaway, Manoj Pande has reviewed the security situation in Poonch sector. Rajnath Singh will be there. There might be a sort of a redeployment. These are army issues and best suited for army to come out on its own as to how they are doing it. But the bottom line is that somehow the theatre has shifted and India will need to readjust, or the army will need to readjust its strategy, which is a dynamic thing to do. But before I end my show, let me talk about News9 Plus. Actor Rashmika Mandana's deepfake nightmare exposed the dark side of the AI, artificial intelligence. Even as India looks to harness the power of AI, which is artificial intelligence, how can laws and regulations be put in place to crack on these deep fakes? News9 Plus made a wonderful documentary on this. Have a look.
Seeing is believing. Or is it? These are your favorite celebrities that you saw in the videos. But what if I told you that they are not?
Today, deepfake is one of the biggest challenges that the digital ecosystem is facing.
Cannot identify what is deepfake and what is real.
We have seen Rashmika Mandana go through the same thing, and this is becoming a common problem.
Everybody is going to be targeted.
The execution is there's a laxity in our regulatory execution. In times to come, that is going to cost us a lot.
Seeing is believing. Or is it? You know it's true when you hear it yourself. Am I right? Or wrong? These are your favorite celebrities that you saw in the videos. But what if I told you that they are not? Welcome to the world of deepfakes. These celebrities were caught in the web of deepfakes. So what if I told you that you could be next? AI has entered our lives and it's here to stay. But what's more scary is how artificial intelligence is being misused to impersonate or create videos with people who have nothing to do with it. The biggest casualties are the celebrities with star power. People like Kajol, Alia Bhatt, Katrina Kaif, Rashmika Mandana. So basically the queen bees of Bollywood have been targeted. So what makes you think that you are safe?
Today, deepfake is one of the biggest challenges that the digital ecosystem is facing, and particularly in the Indian context. Now, some major celebrities and actresses have been targeted, including Alia Bhatt, including Katrina Kaif, Rashmika Mandana. But they are not going to be alone. Everybody is going to be targeted.
It needn't be that you need to have the exact pictures. They can make